Hi, how are you? This is Sandstorm here, and welcome back to Hearts of Iron 4. Today we are going to be starting a new series on El Salvador. Now, we did do one standalone video previously on El Salvador, but that was basically a show-off video to explain how you could take out the Allies by 1936 as El Salvador. But that episode had so much potential for overpowered strategies that I thought it would be prudent to make a series on it, show you how you can get as powerful as possible playing El Salvador. Now don't worry, this does still mean that the rest of the monarchist trio is coming out. Austro-Hungary is next up, but I'm still creating strategies for that, so I thought this would be a great time just to add in some El Salvador. So without further ado, let's begin a new single-player game, 1936 scenario. And we'll have to scroll over to El Salvador. Sadly, they do not have a unique focus tree, but the default focus tree is still pretty powerful. It's got some really good focuses, especially for fascist nations like El Salvador. Forgot to mention we're using our regular start, which is regular difficulty, no Iron Man, and historical AI focus is on. And we're using all DLC up to and including Battle for the Bosporus. So let's go through our notifications. We'll be getting paratroopers for our research. And for our other research, we will be researching the transport ship. The first part of this strategy is going to be a lot like the beginning of the other El Salvador episode, because it is a quite overpowered strategy that works well with the rest of the game. For first national focus, we're going to go for a naval effort. And let's create a new army and get a new commander here. Now we need to go over and ask to join the Axis, which is Germany's faction. Unpause for 1 hour, and they will accept. Let's bring our divisions into this airport right here. And speaking of airport, we need to switch all of our production off of infantry equipment into a transport plane. And we will be doing that until the transport plane is completed, which is going to be around beginning of July. So let's unpause and get going. We now have 50 political power, meaning we will begin our justification of a war goal on France. And we're also going to try and acquire some submarines, since we're going to get a load of naval dockyards through our focus. Since we're in Germany's faction, we can easily go over to the licensed production, although there is sometimes an issue with the German subs where they don't have all the required modules. So let's request their early submarine hull. They've given it to us. We've completed the national focus naval effort. Our next one is going to be army effort. We can now put all of our naval dockyards onto that. We're going to automatically deploy in El Salvador. It's not really automatic because we only have one dockyard, but as long as they're deploying, everything is okay. If we get 3 submarines by the end of the year, we should be able to hit our quota for this exploit. We've completed the army effort national focus. Our next focus is going to be an industrial effort. We've completed our paratroopers research. We're going to make sure we go down the mass assault land doctrine. We have some bonuses for it anyway, since we just got our focus for the army effort. And since we have army effort, we can create a new division, my favorite division, 1 battalion of paratroopers, nothing else, empty as can be, except for that 1 battalion. What we're going to do is switch all of our existing divisions to that, giving us loads of manpower and equipment, and we're going to go train 3 more of these and deploy them in El Salvador. Once they hit 20%, we will deploy them and get them over to Germany as soon as possible. We just got our transport plane out. We only need 1, so we're going to delete the production queue and start producing basic infantry equipment again. What we're now going to do is deploy our plane over in the airport we sent our troops to, and have it wait for the rest of the divisions there until our justification for France is complete. And we can now modify our government. We're going to change up our conscription law 1 level, because we are a little bit low on manpower, and that's only going to get lower. Our divisions just hit 20%. Make sure they're set to deploy in El Salvador. Deploy them and pop them into the army that has orders to go into Germany. And it looks like the Spanish Civil War just begun. We've completed the National Focus Industrial Effort. We're going to go down the armament tree. When we sail by France, we get quite accurate intel on where their troops are positioned along the coast. So be sure to take note of this and use it to its greatest extent. We've completed armament effort. Let's go for armament effort 2 and assign our extra military factory onto infantry equipment. We're also going to set orders for our paratroopers besides this fallback line since they have all arrived. These are all worth a good amount of victory points, and since France has that very high surrender limit, it's going to be quite easy to take them out. This is the basis of the Sandstorm French Paradrop. Our justification is now complete on France. Let's wait a few days to make sure all of the French divisions get to the front line with Germany. And once that has happened, we can declare war. Let's make sure we take note of when you declare war, because you will get a peace conference at minimum 7 days after you declare war. And since this Classic Sandstorm French Paradrop is so quick, it will be the 7-day minimum. So let's declare war on France and activate our order. There we go. France has capitulated on the 3rd of November, which is pretty close to when we'll get the peace conference. We will justify a war goal on Poland, and since the world tension is over 25, the United Kingdom will guarantee Poland, which is what we want. And since it's under 50, France will not join the Allies. We also have a few free military factories we can assign up to our production queue, and some dockyards we can assign to the submarines. Let's wait for the peace conference. And there we go. As El Salvador, we don't have much manpower, so we're going to have to take all of France's colonial possessions for ourselves, and then untake mainland France, which is where all of the French core manpower is. And we will also untake Corsica, as we're going to be having a conflict with the Italians in the future. Let's puppet mainland France, give them all their cores, and everything has been taken. We're done. So that was the first part of the exploit, the Classic Sandstorm French Paradrop. Now we're basically playing as France without all the major debuffs. So what we need to do is request any French troops that may have survived. We got 4, which is very good, because we need as many troops as we can as quickly as we can right now. Request those 4 divisions, and let's put them in a new army. This right here is perfect. Where are the other ones? Wow. Okay, we got really lucky this time, because you want troops as far away from the mainland as possible. Because invading the United Kingdom is easy enough, but the United Kingdom, as I have explained before, has a dominion system where you have to fight all of their dominions to make sure that ownership of the Allies does not just get passed on to their dominions, and that you can actually go and annex them. Even though they're not majors, they will become majors if they're the faction leader. And the main issue here is time, so having these troops all the way out near India and Australia and New Zealand is really a big time saver. So what we're going to do is set these 2 divisions out to go to this island here, which is a very good base for staging an invasion of Australia and New Zealand. So we'll set 1 on an order to hit right next to the port, and we'll set another to hit right next to this port here in New Zealand. And we have some paratroopers as well. We're going to set 1 off over to French Indochina, even though there's 1 division here already there. It's just going to be quicker to send him over there and then send a division from France proper over into French Indochina, if you see what I'm saying. So we're going to switch the paratrooper back into infantry. Plenty of infantry equipment and manpower. This should be no problem. Put them in the army. And then set a front line right on the Raj border. Make sure there's selected on that front line though, because sometimes they will not have any orders for some reason. It's a little bit of a bug, but you can easily fix it. Now we have 2 more divisions remaining. We're going to have 1 head down here to prepare an invasion of South Africa. And then the last one, prepare an invasion of Canada. Now, you might be wondering why we're going to set a division up next to the British Raj, and that's because right now we have a lot of manpower, but it's going to drain extremely quickly, and the British Raj has a lot of manpower, especially if you satellite Pakistan. So it'd be really nice to get that in the peace deal, so we won't have to worry too much about manpower. The next thing we're going to do is head over to France. And since France has a bit of manpower themselves, they have 630,000. We should be able to train quite a few French divisions. So we're going to go over here to templates of subjects. We're going to take this one here. 18 with 3x3 infantry with only support artillery. That's perfect. We're going to copy that and train as many as we can. Hopefully a good 24. Yeah, 24 is as many as we're going to get out. Set them down right in mainland France. And we'll set our paratroopers to some other orders. We're going to need one to go into the United Kingdom. So we'll set them on... Oh, look, looks like there's already one in this airport here. We're going to bring our transport plane over there. And we're going to take every paratrooper except this one into this airport near Poland. With that, let's unpause and resume. It may be prudent to include a garrison of the homeland since our only victory point is El Salvador in Central America, which is quite far away from where our main force will be fighting over in Europe. So if we can get that one garrison down, actually we can get him down right now. There we are. You can just set a garrison order, new army on El Salvador. So in case the British or someone decides to do a naval invasion, your game won't end immediately after they take your capital. Also, we need to start moving our submarines around. Hit D to split the fleet into 2 groups, and then do that again on the one that has 2 in it. And we'll set each one into a new fleet. Make sure they're not in reserve. We'll set one over here. Right click on New Caledonia. Set out the strike force. Sometimes they forget their order, so you have to select and right click again. And get the next one over here to Africa to support this naval invasion, to get us our naval supremacy. Then the final one up to Canada. We'll put our strike force on in the Newfoundland Sea and get over to our base for the naval invasion. We also have some free military factories, and since we're training so many divisions, we are in a bit of a deficit for infantry equipment, but that's fine. As long as we get the division out, everything should be grand. We have enough political power to modify our laws and government, so we're going to change up one more conscription law. We could change our economy, but we can't quite go to war economy yet, which is what I'm really trying to get to. So we'll hold off on that and change our conscription law instead. Our justification on Poland is complete. We're going to wait until everyone is in position, and we need to deploy these troops, speaking of which. So we'll just say okay to that for right now. Get these 24 in a new army. Set them over to this port here. And we might actually need one to become a paratrooper. So let's switch back into the paratrooper template and set them into the paratrooper army, which is stationed over at this airport here. Let's see what the progress is on our naval invasions. We're almost in Canada, and we're getting near to French Indochina. That's going to be about 30 to 40 days until we're ready, which should be plenty of time. We have our justification available until the 11th of February. Our ships are about to get in position. Let's make sure our ones going to Canada get there. They're still moving, and we've got armament effort 2. Let's go for armament effort 3. These military factories are really helping out. It appears that all of our naval invasion divisions have arrived all around the world, and all of our ships are out. Everything is green. Nothing is red. Let's set a paradrop order into an empty square in Poland. Now, an empty square is usually empty if it doesn't have a victory point or anything that a Polish garrison might consider important, because most of their divisions will be on the German border. We just need to not drop on their head and attack them while we're landed, because that will inflict actual casualties on the Polish, giving them some war score so we can take them in the peace conference. We're not going to be calling in Germany, because if we did, Poland might actually beat Germany because they're not fully committing, and Germany would get a load of war score and the exploit would not work. So be sure not to call anyone in, because you can still paradrop from your allies' territory even when they're not at war with whoever you're trying to paradrop into. So what we're going to do is activate the order and declare war on Poland. Make sure they're guaranteed by the United Kingdom. Anyway, we need to get the United Kingdom called in, which they will get called in within 1 hour of the war. And we now need to go declare war manually on all of their dominions so that we can get them in as quick as possible so that they can take the casualties, and then we can be on our way back to Europe. Do the same with New Zealand. And we'll do the British Raj this time as well. We have our 1 division here. Make sure we attack before they can attack us, and just have them take casualties. If it's British divisions and not British Raj divisions here, if you wait a minute, they might show up. So let's see if our paradrop is going to work in Poland. Yes, it did. Worked beautifully. Let's run towards their major victory points and their front line so that we can be sure they're going to take casualties. They just joined the Allies. That's very good. Now that we're at war with a major, we can justify very quickly. So we're going to justify a war goal on Yugoslavia. Now you might notice a few things about Yugoslavia. 1, they're not bordering us, and 2, they're guaranteed by 2 other large European countries who are not majors, who also don't border us or our puppet over here. So we can do the same thing to them as we did with Poland, which is paradrop somewhere that's not on their heads and then fight them once we've landed. This can be quite OP because the United Kingdom's the only major, and they have so many fronts with us around in Africa that we're not manning, that they're going to use all of their divisions down there, and we'll be able to walk straight in to their territory whenever we want to capitulate them. Let's make sure everything goes well in Poland. Watch that we attack a division there. Look, a horse just appeared. We'll attack the horse, and that's all we need. Now let's watch our other invasions to the dominions. Now there's no one here, but if we run towards Canada's main areas, then they will definitely show up and they'll take casualties. It doesn't matter if these divisions die, it just matters that we fight them. South Africa, we're not near there yet. And we're about to be in New Zealand and Australia. We just arrived in New Zealand. No one in their port. Might actually be able to take their capital. And there's someone right next to us in Australia. We can immediately attack them. We're now going to take our paratrooper in Calais, move our transport plane there, and begin a paradrop into Portsmouth. This is going to secure a port for us and be one of our cheesy naval invasions because the United Kingdom has all their ships out and we only have 3 submarines. So we're just going to sort of fly over their submarines, get across the channel, and we've landed. Let's set in our 23 stack here as well. Set them out. Don't need to set any attack orders right now. We'll set our paratrooper to grab another tile, because if they do show up and we don't have another tile, then we'll get that encircled modifier and we'll just take loads of attrition and we might starve. Let's see if we can take Dover as well. And our other divisions are here. Let's push out of the invasion. And it'd be nice if we can encircle London, but sometimes that's not able to happen. Our justification is complete on Yugoslavia, which means we're going to have to fly our transport plane back to our original airport. We have a lot of fronts to manage right now because we have to declare war on Yugoslavia here, which we'll call in Czechoslovakia and Romania. We're now going to justify another quick war goal on Hungary. I'll explain why later. There's a strategic purpose to it. Anyway, we're going to drop into an empty tile in Czechoslovakia. This one right here should do. And an empty tile in Yugoslavia. I'm thinking this one here should do as well. Now if we activate the orders, everyone's been called in. For some reason they won't go, because we only have one transport plane. It's glitched out. If we move it to a different air zone, they will go. Look at that. And everyone just joined the Allies. That is perfect. If they don't join the Allies, this won't work. So we've landed in Yugoslavia. Let's walk towards their capital. And we've landed in Czechoslovakia. Perfect. Everything is going to plan. Let's walk towards their front line with Germany. Everything seems to be going pretty well in the United Kingdom as well. Taking over Cornwall. And it looks as if we might be able to get an encirclement off on London if we act quick enough. We also need to make sure we send our paratrooper out of the United Kingdom and back into the mainland, back into our paratrooper army at this airport. So I'll set a fallback line just for this paratrooper at this airport here. Our encirclement of London is complete. That is perfect. There's not many British divisions here. Also gained quite a few military factories. We're going to be in a huge deficit for a while. There's just really no way around it. Sometimes France spawns you divisions, but since we got 4 divisions at the beginning, I'd say we're lucky either way. What we're going to have to do is take 6 divisions off our army and set them to stay around the London encirclement. Also going to delete all orders here. Set a new front line. Set an attack order. We're not going to activate it yet because we want to make sure we don't accidentally take London. So to make sure we do that, we're going to make sure the front line is at least 2 tiles away from London in every spot so our troops don't accidentally walk in. And it's just this one tile and this tile as well that we need to make sure. Once we've done that, we will activate our order. And we've completed armament effort 3. Let's go for construction effort. Our justification on Hungary is complete. That's very good. We need to make sure we have our paratroopers all here, which we do. Delete all orders from that army. I think we can now activate the push in the United Kingdom, although we need to make sure. I think there is still one tile here that they could attack into London. See, look, they're trying to move into the tile where they could attack from. So just to stay safe, I'm going to tell them not to do that. Got a nice encirclement here, and I'm not talking about the one around London. Although, speaking of which, when they do get a troop into London, you'll want to attack with the army that you set specifically to stay around London, so that London is free for the taking whenever we want to take it. Make sure you hold right before you take it, and then once you take it, you can hit H to hold your divisions before they actually move in. Looks like they just arrived in Cardiff. You might have to act quick and move into the rest of the British Isles. Move up here to Glasgow, and we've got some unassigned divisions. Look at that. France has deployed some divisions for us. That's fantastic. Let's just move them into our army to get them into the British Isles. Now, for some reason, Czechoslovakia doesn't actually want to fight our paratrooper, so it's just been here walking around taking their victory points, which is quite odd. So what we want to do is declare war on Hungary. Now we've declared war on Hungary. They should join the Allies. So Romania can no longer garrison their border with Hungary. If you notice, our paratroopers can only make it to the border of Romania, and they will always garrison that border with Hungary because they're already going to be in a faction, the Allies, with Czechoslovakia, Poland, and Yugoslavia. So they really only have Hungary and Bulgaria to garrison their border with. Now, once Hungary's in the faction, we can first actually get Hungary in the peace conference, and then we can get a successful paradrop into Romania. We need to keep an eye on the British Isles because we want to be able to end this whenever we want. And this new shipment of divisions could be a bit problematic, although we seem to have cut them off in Wales for now. Alright, I think we've given Romania enough time Let's drop into an empty tile in Romania. This one should be good because we land right next to a victory point, so they should attack us as soon as we land, which will be fine, just as long as we land first. And they put out their aircraft in Czechoslovakia. Well, this could be a bit of an issue. Oh, they're slowly putting it away. There we go. And look, as soon as we land, we get attacked. But we landed, and that's the only thing that really matters. So let's drop into an empty Hungarian tile. This one should do. And let's walk towards Hungary. In a week, we can end the war, which means taking London once Hungary takes casualties. Let's just make sure we take all of the other victory points so that when we take London, the war will actually end. Looks like our paratrooper got killed in Hungary, but that is what we wanted. I think it's time to end the war. They just deployed a whole huge garrison, so let's just start attacking London. There are too many divisions in London, so what we're going to have to do is let them out a little bit. Create a fallback line around here, and let them into this one tile. It doesn't have an airport or port in it, so we should be okay. Once they exit London, we should be all good to run in with the firepower that we have concentrated next to it, since they'll have to split their forces between the tile they just took. And if the AI is stupid enough, they might take all of their divisions out of London, which would be optimal. They're walking out with all but one division. Let's make sure they don't go back. See, look, they're trying to go back. Let's pin them in. And with all of our other divisions, we will use our combined firepower to take out their one division in London. There we go. And we're immediately getting victory. And before we take London, let's justify a few war goals. We're going to justify war goal on Albania. For some reason, Greece does, as I've mentioned earlier, justify in Albania on historical. I'm guessing this is because we have so much world tension. And we're also going to justify on Sweden. Since we're at war with a major, it's only going to take 65 days. Sweden right now is not a major. I don't think. No, they are not. But once we take out the United Kingdom, we will have taken out all the democratic majors in Europe. So the game decided to balance that out by making Sweden a major. And Sweden's quite easy to take out, and they won't border us. And being at war with a major gets you faster war goals. So why not? Let's take London and get this over with. And here we are. Since the United Kingdom was the only major, when they capitulate, everyone else capitulates along with them. So this just turned into a huge peace conference. Let's go take all states from the United Kingdom, except for a select few. Take all states. I have to do a lot of scrolling here. Not sure why every menu is open, but we can deal with that. Puppet them right here. Untake these 2 bits. This is not necessary. Let's end the turn. Pass once. And satellite British Malaya. Since we didn't actually fight British Malaya, we're going to have to satellite them. Now, we still didn't get the British Raj in the peace deal for some reason. So we're also going to have to satellite them. I guess we'll just have to do without that extra manpower. That'll be fine. Don't have enough war score, so let's pass once. And satellite the British Raj. Now let's pass a bunch. And take all states from Czechoslovakia. Romania, we're going to do the same. Australia, take all states. Canada, do our usual thing where we take the bordering provinces, puppet the rest of them, which makes it easier to fight the United States, and then give them back these provinces. It's only fair. Poland, we will take all states. Yugoslavia will take all states. Same with Hungary, New Zealand, and South Africa. The peace conference is now over, and would you look at that? El Salvador reigns supreme. Now, our next war is going to be against Italy and Albania. This is going to be ridiculously easy, because we can do the Classic Sandstorm Italian Order 66. And we've got a few free military factories. Assign them onto basic infantry equipment. And let's get these divisions out. Combine them into an army here. And then take a few divisions off to go to Albania. Let's take 4 off. And see who survived. Someone survived in French Indochina. Or should I say Salvadoran Indochina. And our garrison obviously survived. Okay, that's great. Let's send our 24 into Italy. Make sure we're only guarding victory points. Don't need to guard anything else. And since there's no victory points along our border with Italy, they won't be garrisoning them, so we should have an instant capitulation. Let's get our smaller army over here to Albania. Get an attack order into Albania. Set it on aggressive. And let's set our troops in. Our military access has been accepted. So our troops should be able to enter Italy. Little do they know we are about to be the enemy. Also, we've completed a national focus. We'll go for construction effort 2. Got some unassigned. Oh, look at that. France gave us tanks. That's fantastic. Let's put them on the Albanian army. And it looks like Italy's doing the sandstorm tactic of no garrison on your nation. Well, actually, in this playthrough, we have got 1 garrison on our nation. Very high stakes victory point, though. But they've got no garrison, meaning we should have an instant capitulation. So, let's declare war on Albania. Italy has been called in. Italy has immediately capitulated. They own only 11% of victory points. And we don't actually have to fight them. So let's just fight Albania. Italy has capitulated. Whoa, would you look at that? Alright, let's take all states from Italy. Except for Sardinia. We'll puppet them on there just for their navy. And we're done. Italy is now our puppet. Almost done with Albania. Let's just make sure we take their victory points very quickly. And there they go. Albania has capitulated. Let's take all states. Would you look at that? 4th of June 1937. Only 6 months after 1936. And we're much, much larger than we were in that first episode. If you did enjoy this extremely broken exploit, where we take over all of Eastern Europe as El Salvador, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe if you so care to. And we will be back for part 2 in the overpowered El Salvador exploit series, which we will fight Sweden and get quick war justifications on the rest of Europe. Don't worry, as I said earlier, the Monarchist Trio will resume after we are finished with El Salvador. Just taking a break and doing some extremely broken exploits. Anyways, I'll see you in the next episode. Goodbye.